Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from CALIX Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from CALIX Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calixsolutions.io.
And we are live. Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world, ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben here with the elderly. So if you're in the chat, as you can see, right over there, right next to Patrick's head, is our chat live on screen. So since we are having a conversation with Patrick, please put all of your chat in capital so he can hear you. Morning, Patrick. How are you, brother?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you. How's weather? From where I'm at, it would be over in St. Louis.
It's fine. It's a little warm. We're still a little warm. We're above average. We're in the 90s. Average is in the high 70s. So we're a little toasty, but that's getting ready to change, and we may actually get some rain, which would be phenomenal because my lawn has no idea what rain is. Brown and crunchy.
And since you're cheap, you have no idea what a sprinkler is.
I don't. Never. And it's not because I'm cheap. It's really because I don't care about my lawn. I don't.
Well, I don't blame you, because really the only water you care about is what's in your pool and your hot tub.
That's a fact. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't care. As a kid, I had to do the lawn work, and we had a big lawn, and it was a push mower. And back then, you didn't have the electric hedge trimmers or edgers. You had the
scissors.
The scissors. Well, it was glorified scissors. It was good size.
Oh yeah. Hey, that right there worked your forearms out. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I remember those things, and they were dangerous.
Oh yeah.
They were dangerous.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for showing your age on explaining how you used to cut the grass with scissors.
No problem. We had goats.
That it's crazy you say that, but I think I was in Jamaica, and I saw a ton of goats tied up next to the road. Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell is what's up with all these goats? And then someone told me, oh, that's how they cut the grass alongside the highway.
Yeah. And in California, they rent them out, and they'll graze along the interstate in order to keep the amount of fuel for wildfires down to a minimum. And those things will finish off a huge space of lawn of grass in a matter of days. And then they just pick the fence up and they move it someplace else. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a solution to all of our friends that are going right back to Mexico.
Oh yeah.
If you want your lawn handled, just get a couple goats. I mean, hell, that's how we did it in the old days. I, I wonder when that really actually became a thing, because when I was younger in Girard, Illinois, there were actually quite a few people who didn't worry about cutting their grass. I wonder when that social, I guess, like normality happened. When was it all of a sudden you wanted to cut your grass? I don't know.
Good question. Well, when you had more time on your hands and you were stuck inside with your spouse.
The old I have to cut the grass line. Yep.
Yeah.
And she reminds you that you cut it yesterday. And you're like, yeah, but now I'm getting out the scissors and I'm going to weed whack it.
And the ruler. It's 2.5 inches. I got it.
That's right. According to the HOH or HOS or homeowners. HOA. Yes, that's how much I hate them some bitches, because that is such a communistic structure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so did you see, Patrick, that today our dear president is over at Windsor Castle?
I did see that.
Do you know the significance of President Trump at Windsor Castle? Now, mind you, they are not at God, what's the
Buckingham?
Right, they are not at Buckingham Palace. They're at Windsor Castle. Now, the reason this is relevant and what happened this morning is relevant is because, number one, he's the only president to ever have a ceremony at Windsor Castle, because that is the home of the bloodline. Windsor is their ancient name. And I say ancient, but maybe, like 900 years-ish.
Right.
And but what they did, and this is so significant, is President Trump shows up and the leader of the Royal Guard walked him through a showing of the guard. Now, the only person who ever receives a showing of the guard is the king. That's it, because it is showing you your royal guard. It's showing you they are prepared. These are their weapons. These are their outfits. Do they match your approval? And as he's walking through, the head of the guard is with Trump, showing him the guard. The quote unquote king is walking behind Trump. Now, what this ceremony is actually called is passing of the guard. This is where one king relinquishes his authority of the royal guard. It's never happened before in history. They've never had a showing of the guard to a foreign, non-royal bloodline person who wasn't king. Because when you show the guard, and if you notice, the first music played was the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, that is relevant if you know what that song was or where that song was written and why it was written and what it was written about, because our flag was still there. This has so much implications, because this is the king relinquishing the royal guard, which, if you know, the royal guard is one of the recognizer of the king. There are three, right? And when they walked him through because when an old king passes away and the new king is recognized, there are three entities that have to recognize him as king. And one of them is the royal guard. Because if the royal guard does not recognize him as the king, then he is not the king. Trump walking through, everyone watching this right now should watch the video, because as the leader of the guard walked up to Trump and the old king, he aligned himself in front of Trump. He never acknowledged the old king. This is so relevant, because they're all about ceremonials over there. Everything is ceremonial. When the head of the guard walked past the old king and stood in front of Trump, he raised his sword twice. That is his recognizing the king. That's how a soldier recognizes in Great Britain, UK, that's how they recognize the king, is raising their sword twice. That's here, or yay. All right. And as soon as he lined up in front of Trump without recognition of the old king, I knew it, because those ceremonies are very strict. I mean, they are Nat's ass strict. They don't wing it, you know. They aren't walking up and go, hey, just walk up and say hi to Trump. All right. Then walk him through my royal guard. No one inspects the royal guard except the king. And that's what they did. And even on Bloomberg, I was watching Bloomberg, even the host of the Bloomberg show was acknowledging, and he said it probably 4 or 5 times, how historic this is. This is history here. And all you hear from the mainstream media is Trump's going over for an economic meeting. No, because economic meetings are not held at Windsor Castle. That is, there's a reason they have the other place. That's where they do all of the hubbub, ceremonial, welcome foreign leader shit. And what makes this so important is you have to, and we are about to go deep, Patrick, deep, deep, deep. Windsor Castle is actually constructed on what is called blood ground, right? Because in the old days, kings and lords would actually shed blood on their land. And that is how they claimed their land. Now, what makes Windsor Castle so important is it is recognized as it's when it was originally constructed, all of the mortar that was used in actually building it, the royal family had to actually donate blood to mix with the mortar.
Right.
Right. That actually claims the residence. And residency is actually based on a word which is frequency. You have a residence. You reside in your residence, and your residence is your frequency of existence. And him actually at this castle and this handoff, this is the end of the Windsor Kingdom. And I guarantee everyone laughed whenever Trump said Canada should be the first or the 51st state. That was him giving a hint on what's coming. Because now that this ceremony's over, Trump will release Canada from its obligations to Great Britain. Because anyone who knows this ceremony, that any president or prime minister of Canada has to go through when they are elected, they have to swear an oath to the Queen. Trump is going to release Canada and actually make it a sovereign entity. This is huge. And here's a little bit more shit going on right now that nobody's paying attention to. Last week, what's the first country that what is the first European area country to announce a reserve of the Bitcoin? Anyone know? It will blow your mind. Ukraine.
Really?
Yep, Ukraine just announced last week, and hardly anybody talked about it. No one. Look it up. Hop on X or hop on.
I believe you.
Zelensky announced they're launching a Bitcoin reserve. Yep, Edward Albert, Ukraine. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I retweeted it. And it was right after he was over at the White House. The Russian war is over. The Russian-Ukraine war is over. Now they're just setting it all up. Now, yesterday, they announced the UK has agreed with a crypto agreement with the US.
I saw that. Yeah.
That is Great Britain partnering with Trump on what he is actually doing with the dollar. That's them basically saying, yes, we will go against the Federal Reserve, because that's what that is what the Genius Act is. It is removing the authority, right, of the Federal Reserve and moving it into the Treasury Department, where it belongs. Money creation for the United States belongs in the Treasury Department of the United States. But how Trump is setting it up is how we originally were, except he's adding the Bitcoin. Because now what he is doing is he's actually going to link the new Treasury dollar, because these approved stable coins are legally Treasury dollars because they are actually backed with Treasury bonds. And what he's actually doing is replacing the Federal Reserve, which we all know it ain't federal and ain't got not a damn fucking bit of reserves. He's replacing that with treasuries sold to private entities and holding the treasury bonds as the reserve of the private banking system. But he's also creating the reserve that the treasury bonds are guaranteed with. Because in the old days, or actually right now, the treasury bonds are actually backed up with future taxation. That's what our treasury bonds are actually backed up with, is our future, or their future ability to tax the living shit out of us. Well, Trump's changing that. That's why he has said pretty soon, anyone making under $150,000 a year, you ain't going to have taxes. Because he's replacing it with the origins of what our country was actually founded on: tariffs and taxes. I don't think he's going to go with an interstate tax. What he's going to replace that with is profit sharing of mining companies for the Bitcoin. Because in the Genius Act, it says the federal government will lease you land to put what they are calling a data center, which under the law, Bitcoin mining facilities, they actually fall under the data center. So the federal government will lease you the land for like 100 years. It's fucking ridiculous, but it's good ridiculous, right? But the federal government receives a percentage of the Bitcoin you mine. And you can actually get a grant to help you purchase the mining equipment and actually build the facility. Because now, as some of you may or may not know, I'm launching a mining facility, or a mining company with several facilities. And the reason I'm doing that now is because for the next 3 years, if you open a mining facility, which is a data center, you can claim 100% of your cost the first year. So you can basically build it half off. And hang on a second here. Right. The UK announced a week or so back plans for 40 new data centers. Yes, I remember that. And probably 10 of those are actual for Bitcoin, and 30 of those are for AI. Because this is such a historic period of time. Now, Patrick, what are you seeing in the news that's really catching your eye in geopolitics?
That's really loaded.
Yes.
That's really loaded.
Here, Patrick, hold this hand grenade.
yeah, that's the truth. I had been. I'm still following this Utah incident, and there are a lot of questions coming up about that with respect to the validity of the single shooter, whether it was his gun, whether it was trans, a number of other things. I'm not going to go into it because it's still supposition. And when I'm still waiting on verification of some of the information. But what I find really interesting is how people have lost their minds over the request for moments to honor what Kirk stood for, and that is free speech. That is the right to engage in a civil discussion with other folks. And the irony is they're screaming at the top of their lungs about how this shouldn't take place. In the St. Louis County, there was a move, a proposal that Charlie Kirk be recognized for what he stood for, and it went down. It was not voted in. A proposition went down 5 against 2 for, and there was great consternation that this discussion would even take place. And that came obviously from the left. And my thought was, you're tipping your hand here, folks. I mean, it's just simply a request to recognize the guy. That's the extent of it. And yet you're saying that because he wasn't an elected official, we shouldn't take the time or the money to recognize him. One should not have to be an elected official to be recognized for what they stood for.
I agree. If I recall correctly, we have a national holiday for Martin Luther King.
Correct.
Who was not a an elected official.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm scratching my head, going, this is about ideas. This is about sharing ideas. This is about discussion.
On our side, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And yet we're shutting this down because this was a man whose positions were conservative and did nothing to help the efforts of the left to push things further to the left and embrace their dream of having a sickle and a hammer on a flag flying above our government buildings.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're after.
Hey, this is how I view it. I don't think it's so much that he was a conservative. I think it was he was an advocate for Christianity. Because if you say Charlie Kirk, he was a dedicated follower of Jesus Christ.
Oh, unabashedly. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why they hate him. Because they hate him because his principles are actually based on God. That's what they hate. Communists hate God. Because if you have a God, there's someone above the Communist Party.
Oh, sure. Sure. I believe it was, the line was, religion is the opiate of the people.
Yep.
Yeah. But
yeah.
So I'm, this is drawing my attention. I think by the end of today, we will see that the rate drops by 25 basis points.
Yes, let's jump into that real quick. Do you think it should be a higher rate cut? Or
I think it should, but I appreciate the notion that Powell is finally going to give up the ghost, and he's going to find himself having to give up even more. So I think we'll end up at 50 basis points by the end of the year. The next meeting they'll cut it another 25. And we're looking at housing issues here that nobody's really talking about with respect to actual affordability. People just can't afford the homes that are out there.
Yeah.
And banks are holding homes, and they're holding loans on the commercial side for these homes, and this stuff has to move. Ownership has to transfer, so money can change hands and cash can flow, and it's just not happening. And so and my point is, with a cut in the rates, we're going to see that move unilaterally across the consumer markets in real estate, in auto loans, in personal loans even, and would be great to see a 25 point drop in variable interest rates on credit cards too.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that discussion start up again when they, back in November of last year, there were conversations about restricting rates on credit cards. I'd like to see that one start up again.
Or actually make it tax deductible like it used to be.
Yeah. It was in the early 80s when it was 82 was when they put the kibosh on allowing tax deductions on interest that was paid to credit card companies.
Yep. And speaking of that, let me throw this out. Credit card delinquency rates are right at about 14%. At the peak of the 2008-2007 financial crisis, it was at 14%. I think there's a lot, because what we have is we have two separate economies. We have those who own assets and those who do not own assets. Those who own assets are doing fine. Those who don't are getting killed. And we don't really have a middle class anymore. We might have a little bit of it, but what's crazy? Listen to this. The top wage of a welder now puts them in the top 10% in incomes. You know, shit's crazy when a welder is making enough money that pushes him or her into the top 10%.
You hear that, Cindy?
Hey, she knows.
I know she knows. I know she knows.
That woman can weld. She has sent me pictures of these huge pipes she welds. It's like art. I mean, she is such a good welder. It's just absolutely amazing. And a shout out real quick to a very old friend of mine watching, AKA Action. What's going on, brother? I ain't seen you in a bit, man. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's this interest rate. I think Powell, I think he's just going to roll out a little 25 basis point drop. And it ain't going to do jack shit to nothing.
Well,
because that's already priced in.
Well, there are going to be three new folks sitting on the board. He's going to get squeezed out.
Yeah, that's actually let's say he actually came out and he said, we're not going to cut rates. For the first time in the Federal Reserve history, he would have at least three people dissent against him. That's never happened before. Right? We're technically, the Federal Reserve is done. They're dead because they no longer have, since the Genius Act, they no longer have a monopoly on creating money in the U.S. Trump has just set up a system with the Genius Act that now private banks, private companies, Walmart, I almost said Kmart. What's there, like one left?
I don't even think so. Yeah. Yeah.
But Walmart, Amazon, Apple, all of these major corporations can now actually be their own Federal Reserve, holding our treasury bonds and issuing their own currencies, their own dollars. And that, now look where that puts the treasury, because remember, the Genius Act requires that all of these entities purchase treasuries that will actually back up the issuance of these coins. Now, in the legislation, these are 0% treasury bonds. So they actually our treasury bonds to the Federal Reserve at an interest rate when they can sell it to private entities at zero. Let me ask you a question, Patrick. You head over, and not that you would ever actually buy a brand new car, but you head over to buy a car, and they say, all right, we got this loan right here that is 4.25%. And we have this loan right here that is 0% interest. Which loan you taking? Bingo. That's what the Treasury is doing. And that's what Trump is setting up. Everyone he's actually putting on the Federal Reserve, every one of those are there to bring it down slowly. Everyone is like, all right, we're closing up shop. All right. And that's why I think it was J.D. Drew. Or, I'm sorry, not J.D. Drew. That's a baseball player.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right. J.D., our vice president. All right.
Vance.
Right. J.D. Vance. That's why he said the new Federal Reserve, their brand new building that they just remodeled and added on to, he said it would make a nice Federal Reserve museum. Well, what's that saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a Holocaust museum to remember what used to happen.
Yeah.
This is what it, and how do you think that museum would present under Trump the Federal Reserve? Would it be, oh, what a useful tool we had, so we got rid of it? Or because we've heard Trump say, and this is almost a quote, it's time to look at even the idea of having a Federal Reserve. I think that was either Trump or it was the head of the Treasury Department. One of them said that. And what I think's getting ready to happen and what Trump is setting up is we are going to have a Roosevelt type plan.
Which Roosevelt?
Huh?
Which Roosevelt?
Oh, the New Deal.
Teddy.
Right? Where highways, airports.
Oh, you're talking FDR. You're talking WPA programs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Is that's what Trump's going to do, because they are going to fund that with the dollars from the Federal Reserve, and because they're basically going to bankrupt the Federal Reserve as they roll out of the Federal Reserve note and into the Treasury dollar or Treasury dollars. So this is what every single country does. This is what the Weimar Republic did. You want to see what's going on right now? As an example in history, look at the Weimar Republic. Look at the Weimar stock market right before they hit hyperinflation. It was up. It was up record amounts because they were pushing money into it. to generate wealth for the German citizens. And as soon as they hyperinflated that currency into nothing, they switched to, I think they went back to the, what was it,
Deutschmark.
Yeah, Deutschmark. And that's exactly what Trump's doing. He'll because remember, the Federal Reserve dollar is not the American dollar. It isn't the Treasury dollar. It's a private bank. So they are basically going to hyperinflate the Federal Reserve dollar into the new Treasury dollar. And the old currency, they'll probably do something like a 20-to-1 flip. So if you have 20 Treasury dollars, it will be equivalent to 1, or if you have 20 Federal Reserve dollars, it will be worth 1 Treasury dollar. Now, that's for people outside of America. That is not for people inside America. We will get a 1-for-1 exchange because Trump is actually going to devalue what is known as the euro dollar. Any money coming into America will be devalued. And he will do that, and he's already doing that with all of the Treasury bonds that are actually coming in. Because whenever Trump announces Japan agreed on $800 billion of investment into America, what they're doing is they're cashing in their Treasury bonds. They aren't sending $100 billion $1 bills. They're sending over their Treasury bonds because Trump told them, if you invest the full amount of the Treasury bond into American companies and projects, we will recognize it 1-for-1. If you don't, next year, we are going to devalue your Treasury bonds by half, if not more. So they didn't really go, hey, boy, Trump, we love you so much, we're going to give you $80 billion. No. You want 100 cents to the dollar? That's how we cash in foreign Treasury bonds without hyperinflating the currency. This is all absolutely laid out. And if you look at the bigger picture, what Trump is doing is he's removing the royal credibility of the bloodlines. Windsor, that's why it's so important that this meeting was at Windsor Castle, because Trump is claiming Windsor Castle. And And they have to do it. Not only because if they didn't, he would basically destroy their whole fucking currency and just fucking totally wreck them economically. It's because Trump, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. Do you know Trump's bloodline?
No.
Do you know his wife's bloodline?
No.
Okay. Trump's wife is royalty. All right. That's why Putin, when they were in Alaska, Putin actually brought her a ring. All right. Google this and it'll blow your fucking mind. The ring that Putin brought her was a royal, an ancient royal ring. And the queen of the royal family wore the ring. It's priceless. You cannot buy it. It isn't for sale. Trump's bloodline, and a lot of people are not going to have any idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Trump's bloodline is actually called the White Horse bloodline. And it's ancient. We are talking like all the way back to like Jesus' time. The reason his last name is Trump is because the old name of his family actually meant triumph. Because they were a, let's just say they were a spiritually royal family. Y'all, that's why you'll never see a historical documentary of Donald Trump's ancestors or his wife. And what's relevant here in common day, right? You have Trump, which has a spiritual royal bloodline. You have his wife, which has an ancient royal bloodline. That was verified and recognized by Putin when he brought that ring to her. That was returning the royal ring. Yes, Lena, you nailed it. You nailed it. Romanovs. She is the royals of the Romanovs. Right? Look at the ring Putin actually gave her. It is the Royal Romanov ring. Only the queen wears that ring. I'm telling you, this is so much larger than people realize. This is a war amongst the bloodlines. Yes, her family went into hiding for a while. Yes. And why did they go into hiding? Because of the Windsors. The Windsors were who assassinated a lot of her family. And they went into hiding in Russia. Actually, it wasn't called Russia yet. It was Prussia whenever her family went into hiding. Yes, the German Windsors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a war of bloodlines. the top. While we're all sitting here going, the Federal Reserve is going to drop the interest rate 0.25%. Trump is literally claiming authority over Great Britain. Not only with threats of economic, he's claiming blood lineage with him and his wife. Now, him and his wife had a child. What's the name of their child? Their child's name is Patrick
Barron.
Barron. Now, if you know the lineage linguistics of the name Barron, in ancient times, a child of royalty was referred to as they were responsible for bearing the burden of royalty. And there's a lot of other meanings for it. Baron. It's a royal name. There's a reason, because when Trump and her had a child, it blended the ancient Romanov blood with Trump's spiritually royal blood. And that produced the Baron Trump. That's why you don't hear much from him. You don't see much of him. Because he will inherit the elite leadership from Trump. Not Eric, not any of his other children. It will be Barron, because because you have to realize all of these elites, everything we're worried about, that's just management shit. What they live in is a world of bloodline. That's why Jews are so adamant about you only marry a Jew. It's a bloodline thing. Right? That's why the Jewish religion ain't recruiting nobody. Right? They don't go door to door knocking, hey, have you heard the good news about Jerusalem? Right? No, the Jewish religion, they don't want more membership because they're bloodline.
And if you do convert, you'll never be a member of the club.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a friend who is like actually Jewish, and he actually calls them Walmart Jews.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know a couple of guys that did that, and yeah. So how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it's like I thought as soon as I switched over to actually being Jewish, I thought my credit score would go up.
Tom Arnold did it.
Oh yes, he did, and just look how welcomed he was.
Oh yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're up against it.
Yes. For everyone who's interested, Patrick, explain what we got going on today on our show here in about an hour.
If you have a crypto laptop if you have a Liberty laptop, you're more than welcome to join us. You'll have to get a subscription. Pardon me. You'll have to get a subscription through the portal. So you would go there, look for the CALIX Cyber Suite link, and then go in there and grab a subscription. We're going to be talking over a bunch of other bunch of information has to do with cryptos, crypto security, things that have gone sideways for folks, things that have gone well. So feel free to join us. These happen on a weekly basis. We send out an email. You can join us live, or you can watch them in the archives. So, yeah, happening in an hour.
Okay, and everyone watching, I have been telling you guys forever to get a crypto laptop because it will make you more money than your job. We're at that point. Watch what Walmart puts out. Watch what a lot of other coins put out. And Exodus is one of the exchanges where you'll actually be able to earn a yield, and these will compete with each other. Now, mind you, they won't actually call them a yield. They'll actually call them like a reward token, a membership reward, because according to the Genius Act, they can't have yield, but they can have rewards. Because you're not going to want to run this on your personal iShop on Amazon fucking computer. Guys, you'll be able to run a node that helps run decentralized AI on your laptop. That's where this is all going, guys. That's what Hypercycle and all of these other AI not all of them, but a few of them who are actually legitimate. That's the future, guys. So everyone have a great day, and please join Patrick and I over on our at calixsolutions.io. You sign up, you're good to go. You watch the show. Who knows? Maybe and I'm just going to drop this to tease people. Maybe I'll link how Trump is linked with the Elohim. Everyone, have a great day. Patrick, I'll see you in about an hour.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from CALIX Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from CALIX Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calixsolutions.io.